How are you?
Just great.
That's Terry. Terry, it's good to see you, mate. It's good to see you. Terry Ruddy. From the Newry and Mourne Senior Citizens Consortium.
Yes.
That's an amazing organisation, the consortium. And you have about 60 groups in there.
Yeah, we've about 60 affiliated groups, and well, obviously it's a umbrella organisation, and we provide services to the groups, help them to access funding.
That's important.
And so on.
You can do that. You have a knowledge of that.
Well, it's within the organisation.
Aye,
we have two development workers who are job sharing.
Yeah.
So they will go to our affiliated groups and look at their requirements and find out then how they can access funding from whatever. There's a whole range of funders from the John Moores organisation through to...
What's the John Moores organisation?
John Moores, which originally out of Liverpool.
Oh, the university?
Well, no, it came out of the... out of Moores Pools.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's gone back a bit.
It's going back a bit, but they're still active. They have a charity organisation.
Really?
Funding, yeah.
That sounds good to me.
So...
you see, the problem with a lot of the organisations who would be under your umbrella was they couldn't even begin to think about accessing funding. They don't know how to do it. They're good at what they do.
Yeah.
But funding is a distraction, really.
Yeah. Well, like anything, if you're providing some sort of service to the community, and you're using volunteers mostly, you have to get some sort of funding, even the luncheon clubs and things like that.
Because what you're doing is you're building quality into the life of the older folk. You're giving them, in a sense, a reason to shake themselves and get out and get involved.
That's right. Well, they don't necessarily have to get directly involved, but there's providing a social context to their lives. And that's very important.
There's a lovely piece. We prioritise good news here. God knows you know that I spent the greater part of my life having to prioritise bad news. But now I have the chance to throw bad news into the bin and say I'm going for good. And one of the good news bits we carried yesterday was that if a person at a certain stage in life has a purpose, has a drive to make a difference, that person will live longer. Yeah.
Well, of course, and as I said, the social element of all these things are extremely important. That people who've find themselves isolated, and then they get involved in something that, even at a low level in the community, they have a social outlet, and it helps their physical and mental health.
Of course, of course. Why do I think that all of this, as far as you're concerned, finds its origins back in the days of trade unionism and stuff? You were a great workers' man, weren't you?
Well, it was.
What's your provenance? Tell me about it.
Well, when I first went to work, I joined a trade union at age 15.
What did you work at 15?
There's a good story. Well, the first job I had was a tea boy on the building site.
Wow.
Which actually was the...
And which site were you on? One around Newry?
It was, yeah. It was the first extension of St Coleman's College.
Wow.
You know that big one?
Do surely. Yeah.
And I was the, generally known as the nipper.
The nipper.
Who made the tea and went the messages for the men on the site.
How did you get in there at 15?
Well, I'd left school.
But you weren't supposed to work at 15, were you?
Yeah, you were. Right,
see, I got into Haldane and Shields when I was 15. I was Jimmy Morney's labourer.
What age were you?
I must have been 15.
But what age are you now?
I'm now 70.
Aye. Well, that fits in because you're allowed to work at 15.
I hadn't realised that.
You leave... People of our age, because I'm coming 69 shortly, we were allowed to leave school at age 15.
Yeah. Yeah. It must have been, yeah. That's why I could never figure that out. Why was it, Rowan, you were able to work in Haldane and Shields on Monaghan Street at the age you left school? And I couldn't figure it, but I was allowed to. I left school I did a runner, went over the wall at the Abbey and got clear of it. Yeah. I hated the place.
Yeah.
But you didn't. You would have been good at school, were you?
No.
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 We had more interesting things to be doing.
That's another story that I couldn't relate it on television.
No.
I went to the Newry Technical School.
They wouldn't take me in the tech.
Why not?
This is the story. My mother, when I failed the 11 plus, and you know that there's a school in Newry today, at least one school in Newry today. Tell me what you think of this. The school, it's a primary school.
Yeah.
And it's taking the children at the end of year 1,
Right.
P1.
Right.
And they're giving them a test to see are they fit to go into year 2. And they're putting the desks out in kind of examination format,
Right.
separating them. And one child said, please, miss, can you help me with this? The teacher said to that 5-year-old, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to help you. What do you think of that?
That's a nonsense.
That is a nonsense, the man has said.
It's absolute nonsense.
It's appalling.
Yeah.
It's discriminating against one lot of children at a certain moment. And the Department of Education knows nothing about it. But here we are. We've got rid of largely selection at 11, and now there's a form of selection coming in at 6,
At 6.
5 and 6 and 7.
No, that's all wrong. Gee, Rowan, we've been fighting for years to get rid of the 11 plus because selection at 11 or to 10, 11 plus was wrong.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give pupils time to mature a bit. And
Absolutely.
I firmly believe that that a few years makes a whole lot of difference.
It does. It does.
The whole thing about, I believe in streaming, by the way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that if you have a streaming and you have bright kids,
You're fitting you're fitting horses to courses.
Yeah.
You're getting the right people, the round pegs and the round holes, the square pegs and the square holes.
Right. And
But 5, 6, 7 is too young to be at that.
No,
Carry on.
absolutely. No. That should be.
There is a report, a mother told me there is a report of one child who was refused help in a question. He says, Mommy, I don't want to live. The teacher wouldn't help me. That's all possible in there in that awful amalgam. It's dreadful, dreadful.
I mean, that's shocking.
It is shocking.
It's absolutely shocking.
It is, absolutely. And it's happening in Newry at the moment.
Good
and I think
heavens.
it's appalling. So anyway.
We're
back to us. We managed, we were employed at 15. You were in a union from that moment on.
From then on, I've never, ever not been a member of a union.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I did lots of jobs. And I was an apprentice toolmaker one time. And you'd know about this one, Sinozip.
Ah, Sinozip. Down where the abattoir is today.
As part of the meat factory.
Meat factory, yeah.
I was an apprentice toolmaker in there.
Yes.
And then it went belly up. And there was no outlet to follow, to continue the apprenticeship as toolmaker. You know, and they end up in Ulster Textiles and the spinning.
Did you in your journey? You didn't leave home, did you, or did you go away?
No, not until I left one time when I was in my 20s.
Aye.
I went to America for 18 months.
That was a good
I was
stint.
undocumented for a period of time.
Yeah, we were both documented up at the hospital. We went in, we got the long birth certificate. That for us was documentation enough, Terry.
No, but I went, anyway, a certain amount of subterfuge. I went out as a student to America. I got a J1 visa.
Oh.
And then come the time I stayed there. But we came back after 18 months.
You're now at 69, I'm 70. So we've reached a fair distance along the timeline.
Yeah, indeed.
We're 10, thereabouts.
Thereabouts.
What's your take on it all at this stage?
Well, I've said to people recently, I love getting old.
Why is that?
Because...
Are you still as fit as you were? Are you slower, or what's happening?
No, well, of course I'm slower. I mean, I'm not stupid. Of course I am. I've no delusions about that.
Yeah.
But I do try to go to the gym and do a bit of exercise and stuff. And which is... come to learn about through the men's group, and we'll maybe talk about that shortly.
Is that the sheds?
Well, it's along that line.
Aye.
But and people look at me and say, "Why do you love getting old?" And I said, "Well, look, if I stop getting old, I'm dead."
You are.
So So
And
well, the day of day is the last. I won't get any older.
no, you won't. But are you of the impression that maybe the day you die is the day of a new beginning? Or do you think
No,
that's the end?
I don't think we'll go there. That's the end, I think.
That's the end?
As far as I die,
You go.
yeah.
That's
As far
the
as
end.
I go, that
Yeah.
is the absolute end.
Okay, okay.
I don't think there's
Okay.
anything beyond that.
Okay.
But
that'll be no harm either.
no, not at all. As long as you
We'll
don't.
just become... Have
as
you
long
your
as you
grave
do-
bought yet?
Huh?
I bought my grave the other day. I'm up in St. Patrick's.
No,
that place on the hill.
I think I'm going to go and get cremated.
Are you?
Aye.
Wow.
I'm looking at the idea of what they're now talking about as what do they call them? A humanist
Into the...
celebration.
Yeah.
I was not too.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I was
Women with long flowing dresses and nudity and
no, I don't
you know,
think so. I
praising
don't-
the sun, the moon, and the stars. And
I
all
don't
that.
I don't think so.
Because you'd be in the coffin. Let me out! I want to get back to this.
No, with the I've been at 2 funerals
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
which were, for the want of a better word, they're sort of civil ceremony,
Yeah.
and they were brilliant.
But I mean, you'd be in trouble here because you needn't think that you're going to go and die without the Dominicans trying to lay a claim to your body. They will, because you're a Dominican Catholic.
Oh, I was brought up a Dominican Catholic.
There you are. I've
so-
got it right.
Yeah, of course. Would we all? We didn't stay too
my
far.
mother, God love her, she sang in the Dominican choir.
Right,
And she tells the story of seeing a ghost. She was the last out of the chapel one night.
right.
And she looked down, she saw the ghost walking among,
Yeah.
Now, I don't think, if it were me seeing that, it could be put down to the wine. But she didn't. She didn't.
Surely not.
Surely. Thank you so much for saying
Wait,
that.
tell me something. She didn't take a drink, did she?
Who, my mother?
Aye.
No,
No.
she didn't. No, my mother was...
But
I had the joy of working with your mummy in the swimming pool.
and the swimming pool. And
Molly
she bring
Ruddy.
in the apple tarts.
God,
and
she was
stuff.
great. She was a lovely, lovely, lovely woman.
She brought in the apple tarts.
Molly was a great woman.
Yeah.
Lived over in John Martin Gardens or
No,
thereabouts.
Michael Mallon Park.
Michael Mallon Park, yeah.
Yeah, we were. I was born in Martin Street.
Were you?
Yeah.
That's the way, yeah.
And I was the last of the family to be born there. The younger ones were born in Michael Mallon Park.
Yeah.
We got a swap.
Oh, that was big in those days.
It was big because Martin Street at the time, there's no bathroom, there's an outside toilet in the yard.
Well,
and there's another thing. My father used to kill the pigs in the backyard.
In the backyard.
Ah. Do you want to go there? Like the man would stand the outside toilet, and when the pig walked by, he would hit it with a
hammer,
sledgehammer.
That would put him down, and then he'd cut the throat.
And they would do the
It's
business.
the stuff of life. But nowadays, the younger people think that pigs come from cellophane in the freezer out in Tesco or down in Sainsbury's.
But the other thing was that there was very little money about it, and you wouldn't have been able to get a football.
No.
So we got the pig's bladder
Blew it
blown up, and we played football with a pig's bladder.
I'm going to ask you this now, and there's a lot of younger people out there wouldn't know what I'm talking about. Andrew is a footballing man. He wouldn't know. Do you know what you could tell me what a tubing cover is?
Of course.
He knows what a tubing cover is.
Right, I'll tell you a good story about that.
The tube went into the leather cover.
There was a rubber tube, or bladder, as they used to talk about it, went inside the leather ball.
And you pumped it up.
You pumped it up,
And then you tied
laced it up. It was all laced up.
Yeah, but you tied it first of all.
Ah, of course.
You tied the thing you pumped into it, and then you twisted that in onto the opening.
That's right.
And then you laced it up.
And it was laced up.
That was the ball.
That was the ball. And on one occasion, I want to say, it must have been in the 1970, about 75, 76, I was staying with Eugene Reevy's sister in North London,
Yes.
with Kath McHale.
Yes.
And Eugene and his wife come over. They were on their way to go to somewhere in Africa to visit a chap who's a priest from White Cross.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Eugene said to me, look, I have to try and get a couple of footballs to take out to... Jeez, I can't remember the name. Anyway, so I took him to Millet's store in Wood Green.
In London.
And Eugene in North London, and Eugene asked the young fella, have you any footballs with tubes in them? And the young man looked at him, I don't know what you mean, sir. Now, this was 1975.
That's amazing.
And then, as Eugene explained the thing, as you explained it about the tube and putting it up and tying it and lacing it up, and the young fella said, I think there's some up in the store up. And Eugene says, well, go and have a look. So off he went, he came back. He says, yeah, he says, there's a half a dozen there. And Eugene said, sure, I'll take the 6 of them.
Yeah.
Right? And then have you any spare bladders? Or
sure, no.
Tubes. Oh. And he came back with more. So Eugene was buying the whole lot.
The whole lot.
And he says to the young fella, now, I can't remember the figures, so money-wise.
Yeah.
The young fella asked for a certain amount of money, and Eugene says, but what will you take?
a good white cross
still watching this.
Oh, he will be. He's a good fan. What will you take?
So what will you take? And the young fella says, what do you mean, sir? He says, sure, could you give us something off it? Well, I'm not authorised to do that. Well, who would be authorised? The manager. Could you get the manager? So Eugene started. Said, look, I asked about these football, and they've been up in the store there, and nobody's ever going to buy them, only an idiot like me. And how much will you take for the whole lot?
And he got...
So he struck a deal.
Ah, sure. That is fantastic.
So there fantastic. Was the rubber ball.
The rubber ball.
Or the leather ball. With
the other things that young people don't know about nowadays, if I were to say to you, and I know you'll know the answer to this, where in Newry is the dead pad?
Aye.
You do know?
I do know.
You do know?
Of course.
And if I was to say to you, where in Newry was the Dardanelles?
I know where that is.
You know where that is too. I bet most of you out there don't. The dead pad ran between Monaghan Street
and Catherine
down to the bottom of Upper Catherine Street. Why was it called the dead pad?
I was never sure about that.
I wasn't sure either.
I know. It was from Monaghan Street up to...
Where Murphy's is at the moment. The electrical
Street,
people.
Edward Street.
Yeah, Monaghan Street to Edward Street. That was the dead pad.
Was
the bottom of between North Street. It was the hill that came down.
Lindsay Hill.
Lindsay Hill. With the foot of Lindsay Hill.
That was it. I never knew... I guess it was something to do with the Second World War.
Yes, the Dardanelles. The Dardanelles was one of the battles of the First World War, I believe.
I'm sorry.
That's right. That's what I believe.
The First World War, that's what I meant to say.
And it seems that Lord Haw-Haw was able to tell on his one of his many broadcasts that there were 300 and whatever steps on Lindsay Hill. And everybody said, oh, if Haw-Haw knows that, the Germans know everything. We're going to be destroyed. It's going to be terrible. What about the men's group? You wanted to talk about it.
Newry Moore men's group, it's always known as MAT.
Yes.
It's a name that I'm not all that keen about it, because it stands for Men About the Town.
Yeah. What's wrong with it?
For me, it gives an image of Killboys. If you know what a Killboy is.
I remember Corner Boys down at Clements Corner, just next door to McCourt shop at the bottom of William Street.
Yeah.
And what they call the old woman that sold the bubblies and the aniseed balls at the top? Mingie Quinn.
Mingie Quinn.
You remember?
I remember Mingie Quinn, yeah.
So tell me about Matt.
On the way to school.
What's happening?
So we meet on every Tuesday morning. We're currently in the Wind Industrial Estate.
Oh.
A 3 linen hall house.
Oh, yes.
So we meet formally on Tuesday mornings at 10:30 to about noontime. And then we talk about other things. We talk generally, have a cup of tea and a biscuit. But we're currently involved in a project somebody's doing on the things that we're talking about.
Yes.
And the title of the project is His Story. History. History, his story.
History, yeah.
So it's a lot of reminiscing, and we're being encouraged now to write stories of,
it's important.
Of our past.
Important, because the things, even the small amount of things we did, tubing covers, Lindsay Hill, Dardanelles,
Yeah.
the dead pad.
No.
That's all gone if we
That's right.
don't get them down.
And
you know.
funny is, I was talking with somebody the other day, they were talking about the woodland up there.
Yes.
Daisy Hill woodland. And I says, all right. When I was young, it was called the Wild Nursery.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't it? Back in your
surely,
house.
surely.
The Wild Nursery.
In Daisy Hill Nursery, where the bulrushes grow, where the hanging down trees will keep out the breeze, and the boys court the girls as they please.
Who wrote that?
Me.
I just thought there was something about women in it.
Oh, you know yourself.
So,
Did you hear the joke about the three boys? They were out of your group. There was one of them was 92,
Right.
the other was 70, and the other was 60.
Right.
And there's this lovely lady was walking past, and the fellow at 60 says, "Oh, she's beautiful. I would so love to give her a hug." And the way she goes. And the next fellow of 70 says, "Oh, look at this next one that's coming past. She's gorgeous. I would so love to put my arms around her, give her a hug, and give her a kiss." So the 90-year-old says, and the next one's come along. He said, yes, he says, "Oh, look, she's gorgeous. I would just love to. I would just love to. Oh, what was that other thing we used to do with them?" Anyway,
Get back to this men's group.
Yeah.
The men's group. So we organise, we do day trips. And
Where would you go?
Well, I organised a trip to the Dáil Éireann or a while ago.
Why don't you go to Cork?
No, well, that's a bit far now.
It's not. You go down on the train all the way and you get your free.
And stay over.
And stay over.
No, well, there's a thought. No, there's a thought.
Cork is, I only said because I went down last Saturday. One of my, an African bishop was there visiting, and he's the African bishop of my schools. And I went down to Cork to meet him.
Right.
And I went down on the first train out in Newry on Saturday, the 10 to 8, got there by 2 o'clock. I was in Cork, blah, blah, crossed the city in the Lewis and all the rest of it. And then stayed overnight in Isaac's Hotel and came back on the Sunday morning on the 8:20 train, was back in Newry for 2 o'clock.
Well, the some of us are actually, not that group, but another group of people we're organising a weekend in Kilkenny.
Kilkenny be nice, yeah.
Well, we're going horse racing.
Wow. And then you would have a meal in the evening time.
Well,
That would
we're
be an
staying
occasion.
overnight.
Yeah.
We're staying Friday night and Saturday night. We're going horse racing Saturday and home Sunday.
Yeah, I want you to do one thing we're in the last 4 minutes, but I do want you to be serious with me in this because we're of a certain age, we need to look after the health like never before. And maybe your people in the club in Matt, we can spread the word. We need to look after our blood tests in relation to prostate. Yeah. It's called the PSA, prostate-specific antigen test. Yeah. And that picks up the beginnings of prostate cancer. Now, it's not a perfect test, but it's an indicator. It gives you a hint. And if you've got the hint, you can follow it up. And thank God I got the hint 2 years ago because it told me I had prostate cancer. And I've been able to deal with it. It hasn't gone any further, and I've been able to keep an eye on it, so we're all fine, tickety-boo. And as the doctors say, 80% of men of our age, 80% have prostate cancer.
Aye.
But they say,
I know that.
We say we'll die with it, but not from it.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, because that's what I was told.
Yeah.
Anyway, coincidentally, this week at our meeting, we had the Action Cancer Man Alive fan. So the man got a health check. Yeah,
including the PSA.
Well, it wouldn't be the PSA, but...
Wow, that's the very one they should have had.
Well, you do the one for, what do you call it, cholesterol.
Okay, that's easy.
But then, of course...
They're all easy.
Because people are weighed and...
body mass index sort of job and all
they have these electronic scales. You have to go on your bare feet and they send a pulse through the body and they measure the fat.
Yeah.
So people are given a heads up on their health.
Aye.
You know, but the one thing that I've learned through the men's group, we've gone to men's health one-day conferences stuff, is that how important it is to be active, to take exercise, no matter how small, but some sort of exercise. And as one of the people contributing to the conference has said, that exercise is equal to, if not better than, medicine.
Oh, it is, of course.
Which was an eye-opener for a lot of people. That if people are doing enough exercise, you can get away from some types of diabetes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a serious element to the men's group. As I said, we went down to the Dáil. They've gone down to Kilmainham and Collins Barracks Museum, stuff like that. Good. We're planning to go to Carrickfergus Castle.
I wish I were.
And also, apparently there's a gasworks in Carrickfergus that has been preserved.
Wow.
But it's not working.
No.
But all the machinery's there. So apparently that's well worth a visit, and we're planning to do that.
We need to go now.
Well,
we've come to the end of our tether.
There you go.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Doesn't time fly?
It does. How do people find the men's group if they want to be part of the men's group?
If they want to go down to Linen Hall House.
Linen Hall House.
The
Wynn Industrial Estate.
At 10:30 any Tuesday morning. 10:30.